I normally don't do current event dog pile type content, but nobody seems to be pointing out what is incredibly obvious to me, that this company might be pulling off the greatest marketing stunt in the past decade. Today we're talking about Cracker Barrel. If you don't know,
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel. City boy! City boy! All right, this is epic, I think. I don't know where we're going with this. You like my apparel? Finally, I'm doing a Fat Electrician video. Well, this might be the Fat Files. Is this on the Fat Files? In the gear, in the official gear. And this one I purchased personally, even though he did send me a few things that were fire. And you can check me out modeling them in my new music video, Giveth and Taketh. Anyways, let's rock. The worst rebrand of all time, Cracker Barrel. So he said that, but then he starts it kind of like insinuating like there's something else going on here that nobody else noticed. And I noticed that he notices things that people don't notice. So we're about to get into it. Make sure you check out his channel, Fat Files. As you see, I'm subscribed to it. Fat Files and the Fat Electrician. And then he's always rocking his merch. You see the hat, you see the shirt, you see the hat, you see the shirt. Actually, this ain't his hat. This is my hat, baby. Brass Knuckle Gang. And you can't get that anywhere because I don't sell them. But maybe one day I'll sell them again. But until that day, rock with the Fat Electrician. All right, let's go. Let's see what's going on with Cracker Barrel in the eyes of the Fat Electrician.
I normally don't do current event dog pile type content, but nobody seems to be pointing out what is incredibly obvious to me, that this company might be pulling off the greatest marketing stunt in the past decade. Today we're talking about Cracker Barrel. If you don't know, they rebranded recently and absolutely everybody hates it. This is not a political war thing where the left likes it and the right doesn't, or the right likes it and the left doesn't. No, everybody across the political spectrum has come out and said, we absolutely hate what you've done with this.
Look how they massacred my boy.
It genuinely might be the most unifying thing that has happened to the United States of America since 9/11, okay?
Bro, that's hilarious that he said 9/11, because I was going to say 9/11, because that's the one thing that brought all of America together, where people started rocking American flags again. Yeah, I haven't been in one of the new modern ones, but have you ever been to a modern market or even like a soulless, lifeless Denny's? It's like they have these weird booths where they kind of want it to look a certain way, but it's just so modernized. It's just soulless. It's absolutely soulless. And when I go into Cracker Barrel, I feel like I'm going antiquing. Have you ever been into a dope antique shop and the feeling and experience you get from just the energy of the history and the Americana in the room? I go to this special antique store called Willowstone. And that's how I feel when I go into Cracker Barrel. I've never thought, there have been times where I was like, Cracker Barrel, like, what? But I've never thought of it as anything else, as like a step into history and just getting like an old school country experience. That's it.
You know how bad you gotta fuck up to, in 2025, get Donald Trump and Gavin Newsom on the same page? The official DNC Twitter account even said, we think the new Cracker Barrel branding sucks too. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm gonna rephrase it a little bit differently so we're all on the same page. Cracker Barrel, AKA a restaurant unironically and literally named Cracker Barrel, that has been accused of LGBTQ discrimination and racial discrimination, and when you walk inside is decorated as though it's Minnie's haberdashery from the Quentin Tarantino movie, The Hateful Eight, has rebranded and remodeled some of the restaurants, and they fucked it up so bad that even the woke leftists are like, no. The segregated bus stop vibes were better. Bring it back. They've literally done such a bad job that it almost feels like it's intentional, and I think it might be, and we're gonna get into it right after a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Supremacy World War III. It is a free online PvP strategy-based game where you get to
All right, I'm not a gamer, y'all, but I always want to support what he's doing. So make sure you go watch this video on its own, because reaction videos are not a substitute for the original. And you see all the info, it's going to be in the description, so you can support Bro Man. And then let's just keep the video moving. And again, support. That's important.
Right? Makes sense. So, Cracker Barrel was started by a guy by the name of Dan Evans. Dan Evans was a Marine that joined after World War II, went, fought in Korea, came back home, worked a couple of different jobs, and then went to work in his family's oil company, going to gas stations, basically being a salesman for gas, to small gas stations. Now, during the same time period, in the couple of decades after World War II, America was building and finishing its interstate highway system. Basically, America saw Germany's Autobahn in World War II and was like, oh, that's a good idea. We're going to win this war and then steal that idea, which is exactly what we did. Now, the problem at the time, or at least for Rob Evans, was this meant that people were going to be using these massive interstates to just cut right through the land, and they weren't going to be taking all the small highways that everybody used before, and this put a lot of smaller gas stations out of business. Rather than just slowly decline and go out of business and fade into nothing, Rob Evans said, okay, we've got this new thing. It's kind of cool. Massive highway, goes really fast. People are traveling further, faster. That's great, but it does have some shortcomings. These massive interstates don't cut right through the middle of towns like these highways did. And people that are traveling for hours on end are still going to need gas. They're still going to need food. And a lot of them are still probably going to want to pick up knickknacks and souvenirs to say, hey, I was in this place, like a shot glass or a magnet or whatever the fuck.
No, Dad, not that, please. Here you go, sport.
So that's what he built. He built the first Cracker Barrel. It was a gas station slash restaurant slash souvenir store, and he slapped it right on the interstate in Lebanon, Tennessee in 1969. And
You know what's kind of crazy? That's a great idea. And I just wanted to add to this context. So for y'all not familiar with me, I'm a rapper, been rapping a very long time. I've toured all of America like 5 or 6 times, doing concerts. I've toured Europe, Canada. Now I say that to preface this. One of the places that I love to stop on tour, because when you travel at these weird hours, right? And consistency with what you can get food-wise, depending on if you're in a tour bus or a van with a trailer, you know, you're traveling at all these unique times. And there had even been times where I've had to spend Thanksgiving or Christmas, not Christmas, but Thanksgiving on the road, you know, and you start to discover the restaurants that are open on these holidays. And you're like, oh, this is amazing because I can kind of, you know, get this piece of whatever. But that's what Cracker Barrel gave me on the road. It was a moment to kind of get a home-cooked breakfast while I was on the road, or even a home-cooked dinner that you don't always have access to. It seems like when you're in and out of cities, it's always burgers and pizza. And by the second week of tour, you don't want to see another cheeseburger or slice of pizza in your life. Even when the promoter is being super cool and hospitable and just like, yo, we got you guys some pizzas. This is the greatest pizza spot in Chicago. You're just like, bruh, I've seen enough pizza and cheeseburgers for a lifetime. That's what, so touring, you start getting these notions where you want to eat certain things because that's like the most special part of your day because everything else looks the same. You wake up, you know, take your shower, you get in your van or bus, you start heading to the location. When you get there, you do sound check. You go check into the hotel, you go get dinner, you go perform, you sell merch, and then you do it all over and over, just like a robot almost. It's really interesting. And there's fun times mixed in there, you know, depending on where you're at with your career. There's payouts. There's sometimes you're fighting promoters that didn't pay you. There's women. There's a lot of different things. But the one thing that brought you closer to home were these places like Cracker Barrel, where you can get an experience and food that resembled what was back home, right? Wifey was chefing it up in the kitchen for breakfast or for dinner. And so that was something I actually appreciated. It was one of the stops. And so there'd be times where we stopped there so much where the tours would get mad at me like, bro, we're not stopping at Cracker Barrel again. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, this is my story.
Nobody's surprised it was outrageously popular. It was the one-stop shop concept. You're driving down the road for 6 hours straight. You've got 4 more hours to go. Oh, look, there's one spot I can stop. I can get gas, dinner, and a souvenir. Perfect. Then I'm going to get back on the road. The entire concept kind of felt like a general store back in the Old West. Like, it doesn't matter what you're looking for. You have to go to the only store in town to get it. And if they don't have it, they'll order it. So that's what he kind of themed it after. He themed it after an Old Western general store. And because of that, he decided to name it Cracker Barrel because back in the Old West, the general stores had barrels that were full of crackers.
Don't do that. What? Why are you winking at me?
From here, the business grew.
That's interesting because let someone who is a little more radicalized tell you, and they have all these stories of why it's called Cracker Barrel. I actually didn't know the history behind it, that they just had barrels full of crackers. Well, simple enough.
like wildfire, but the interstates were becoming, you know, more and more of a thing. Gas stations were popping up. People were copying the same strategy. So he's like, you know, gas isn't really making us that much money. We're going to drop the gas portion and we're just going to be a restaurant with this souvenir shop in it, but we're still going to be right on the interstate. And that is how we arrived at the Cracker Barrel that we all know today. It is a Western general store themed restaurant that serves Southern food and has a gift shop up front that is actually secretly evil, but genius at the same time. That little knickknack shop up front is responsible for 20% of Cracker Barrel's overall revenue, and they made like $3.5 billion last year, meaning they're moving like $700 million worth of knickknacks every single year. I know what you're thinking, how is that even possible? Because if you have a family and you go to Cracker Barrel, that gift shop is like a family-friendly version of the Saw movie.
What do you want? Oik, what?
You are completely surrounded by armed mousetraps.
There's a 15-minute wait at the restaurant. You now must stand inside of an old-timey toy store for 15 minutes with your small children and not be compelled to buy them a harmonica and a cap gun. Mission fucking impossible, okay? Sorry, I'm trauma dumping. Anyways, now we're in modern times. In 2020...
He's tripping, dog. But I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, I don't go to Cracker Barrel like that anymore because I'm not on the road. Cracker Barrel was like my safe place, safe space on the road, right? But I'm not on the road as much. But you know who does go? When the grandparents are in town. Because I'm okay, I'm not going to go crazy. I fast in the morning a lot of times because it lets my mind fire off. I just do better recording, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, my kids and my parent-in-laws and my wife, her parents, they'll go to Cracker Barrel still. And the grandparents always buy the kids something from that little gift shop. He's not lying.
They got a new CEO, Julie Messino. Okay, now the CEO that she replaced was more or less shit-canned very politely. They didn't fire her, they accelerated her retirement plan. Okay, whatever, that's fine. They have a new CEO, this Julie Messino person. Is she an inside hire from the company that understands the culture and what makes the company successful? No, of course she isn't. We're gonna bring in somebody else that's an industry expert and they're gonna know how to fix everything, which never ever works. But you know what? Maybe she's the exception. Okay, what's her background? Oh, she was the head of marketing at Starbucks. Not looking great, okay? You know what company doesn't need marketing? Starbucks. Have you ever seen a Starbucks commercial? Yeah, me neither. You ever seen a Starbucks ad? No, not really. Starbucks' business model is they're fucking everywhere, and do you want caffeine or not? The end. Being in charge of the head of marketing at Starbucks is like being in charge of selling ass candles to dogs. You can't fuck that job up. On top of that, Starbucks isn't even really trying to sell coffee. They're trying to sell gift cards so they can continue being the world's biggest unregulated bank, which I did an entire video on. We're not gonna get into it. After that, I
might have to go do that. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Biggest unregulated bank? What the is he talking about? That sounds crazy, but it sounds realistic. And once you get into certain places, like levels, you can maneuver in ways that people couldn't imagine. And the fact that I've been to countries like China, Colombia, Jamaica, frickin' all of Europe, damn near all of Canada, and there's literally a Starbucks everywhere. There's a Starbucks in Thailand. There's KFCs everywhere too, and McDonald's. These brands are everywhere.
The president of Taco Bell. Okay, that sounds like it could be pretty good, but I promise you it's not. Okay, Taco Bell is owned by Yum Brands, and Yum Brands is a conglomerate that owns KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut, and that conglomerate is owned by Pepsi. Why does Pepsi own fast food restaurants? Well, because in the 1970s and the 1980s, when Pepsi was trying to become a major household name, they could not compete with Coke because every restaurant in America had Coke machines and nobody wanted fucking Pepsi. So Pepsi went and bought 3 major food chains to force them to have Pepsi inside of the restaurant so they could force feed it to people and convince them that Pepsi was better. Pepsi literally said, we have no reputation and no customer base. We're gonna buy 3 entities that have a massive following and we're gonna use that to force feed our product into people.
See, I didn't know that, but it makes sense. You know where I just went? I was in Indiana at Holiday World. That's the name of it, Holiday World. Yeah, it's Holiday World. And what the stipulation is of this place is that everyone can drink for free. Drink from the fountain, get fountain drinks for free. Once you pay to get inside, fountain drinks are free. And guess what it is? All Pepsi products. So Pepsi at some capacity bought out Holiday World or is involved in it where all fountain drinks are free and it's Pepsi products. And water. I drink the water. I don't drink the stuff with sugar. I will drink stuff that's sweetened with stevia. but I almost never drink anything with sugar unless it's a super special occasion. That's just me. Unlike his shirt, this has unhealth care. I gotta see the full shirt. That looks gay. There's like brass knuckles in it. Anyways.
Ralph could just eat it.
God, I hate it.
I don't care whether you hate it. You said you do it.
Which means, ultimately, at the end of the day, all they care about is the restaurants breaking even, maybe. They don't give a shit if the restaurants do good. They just want to sell more Pepsi. If so facto, all of her experience at being an industry expert is by working at a company that's fucking up to something other than selling good food to people, right? Starbucks is trying to be an unregulated bank, and Yum Brands is trying to force feed people Pepsi. There's an ulterior motive. They don't really care how the company does. But Cracker Barrel doesn't have that. The only thing they're up to is strong-arming me into buying a harmonica for my 4-year-old so that I slowly go insane. So she comes in 2003 and is like, you know what we need to do to fix everything with this company that's been functioning just fine for the past fucking 50 years? We should absolutely change everything. We'll do exactly the same thing we did with Taco Bell. We'll take a logo that's awesome and retro and cool, and then we'll make a minimalist version with less colors that everybody fucking hates. Because every time somebody looks at a logo of a multi-billion-dollar company, they want to look at it and say to themselves in the back of their head, I wonder how much the graphic designer got paid because I could have done that shit on Microsoft Paint. And then we'll go inside to the restaurants, we'll strip all the cool shit off the walls, we'll paint everything white like it's a rental property, and then put half of the cool shit back up with little plaques that tell you what it is so it looks like a museum exhibit. You know, the same exact thing that we did to Taco Bell. Look what they did to my childhood. Taco Bell used to be beautiful inside and out. It was absolutely fantastic, and now look at it. It's just a giant square blob of minimalist millennial gray
And this is the problem. This is the problem. Look closely. When you start going in and out of everything, everything looks like this. So all the companies that run this brand, I think, but Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut, they all look like this. Like you do not want to eat there. There's nothing inviting. It just feels like this cold, soulless corridor of cleanliness. Like it's just weird. It's just like it always smells like weird chemicals because they just cleaned. And this goes for every place. Now let's go beyond. Qdoba looks like this. Freaking Chipotle looks like this. But for example, Chipotle started like that. Like that's kind of their thing. Modern Market looks like this. But when you think about being a kid going to Pizza Hut, and I'm 45, so like where they bring out the pan pizza, like I just remember all this shit that does not happen anymore. And I can't tell you, I haven't had a pizza from Pizza Hut in probably 20 years, maybe 15 years. And what for? There's so many other better pizzas now. And so when they take every reason that you were supposed to go to these places, it's so crazy. Now that he highlights the Taco Bell symbol logo, this also reminds you why people gravitate to antiquing and collectibles, because things from the 90s, the early 2000s, the 80s, they were just so much cooler. I don't understand where someone took it in their mind that we're going to do all this minimalistic bullshit and it's going to be better, because I think what this is doing is this is creating these pockets of these new franchises and restaurants that are going with, that just have better ideas and they're just blowing up. And these places are so big, it's almost like so big they can't fail at some capacity. But again, I don't know, there's something just lifeless about that.
bullshit. Modern Taco Bells look like they got designed by a middle-aged white woman wearing Ugg boots who got all of her ideas off of Pinterest. I'm legitimately surprised they haven't changed their slogan from think outside the bun to something stupid like live, laugh, love. Oh wait, fuck, they did that in 2012, because when you go to Taco Bell, you're supposed to live Moss now. I hate it. Oh.
Yo, think about In-N-Out Burger, right? How it still kind of gives you a little bit of the car hop vibe, and how big In-N-Out Burger is. Like, there's just little intricate details that I don't understand where these business folks have gone. But, and the other thing that's scary is the visual is like this futuristic world they want us to live in, these 15-minute smart cities. That's what all of this stuff looks like. And when you travel the way I've traveled touring, you just go to every state and you'll see all these beautiful differences in the scenery at times, right? Because when you're in Kansas and Nebraska and stuff like that, there's a lot of flat land, but you start seeing forests, you see mountains, depending on where you're at, you could see beaches. And there's all this diversity until you start getting to the cities, and it's just like, you know, it's just like the same shit. Costco, Lowe's, Walmart, Taco Bell, Qdoba, McDonald's, Cracker Barrels, da 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 da, and everything looks. It's just like the same imprints everywhere. But when you go inside a Cracker Barrel, there was this differential in there in comparison to what we're seeing in these new makes and models.
Oh, I hate it.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It's
Gets
gross.
the people going.
So, is Cracker Barrel gonna go downhill? Almost certainly. As soon as they announced this remodel and their rebranding, they lost 12% of their market share. $94 million just fucking erased from existence. And so far, the only response that Cracker Barrel has given out to enormous public backlash is to send the CEO onto the news to talk to Michael Strahan, an ex-NFL player that retired when I was in like 8th grade, but somehow still looks way younger than me. And she goes up there and has the balls or the ovaries, whatever, to look everybody in the face and gaslight us and be like, actually, people love the new design, despite the fact that nobody does.
Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. The number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So the feedback and the buzz is so good, not only from our customers, but from our team members.
Bro, do you know what this sounds like? This reminds me when I was told that Joe Biden got 80 million votes.
Hold up. Hey.
Anyways, I'm not saying he didn't, YouTube. I'm just saying this moment right here just reminds me of that. And I'm not tripping. He did. He did. He did.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
So I'm 90% sure that Cracker Barrel, as we know it now, is gonna die off in the next 5 years. But there's a 10% chance that this is the most brilliant marketing stunt of all time. Okay, hear me out. They've lost $94 million, sure, but that's all stock price bullshit, right? That's not real. It's not a realized loss yet, okay? It's all on paper. It's imaginary. It doesn't exist.
Never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not fucking real.
In exchange for that 94 million imaginary dollar loss, they've gained hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of free publicity. When's the last time you heard about Cracker Barrel in the news? Fucking never. Cracker Barrel is the talk of the town right now. But it's all negative publicity. Yeah, sure, but haven't you ever heard the phrase, there's no such thing as bad publicity? Okay, they've done such a shitty job, it's almost perfectly shitty, okay? This isn't a catastrophe. There's a 10% chance that this is a controlled demolition on purpose, okay? Because here's the kicker. All the news articles are like, Cracker Barrel remodeled. Cool. They don't actually tell you that all Cracker Barrels didn't remodel. Only 30 of the 660 Cracker Barrels got a remodel. And if Cracker Barrel is smart, especially if they did this on purpose, they remodeled the 30 shittiest performing Cracker Barrels that they had that they were probably gonna have to close down anyways. So now they're out now.
He's going somewhere. He said what I would have said. So I'm just going to let him cook. The all publicity is good publicity. I used to think that was incorrect. I used to think, nah, bad publicity will sink your ship. But after seeing politics, influencers, watching all of this massive stuff, I realized, and especially watching the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix, I realized that it's all a form of entertainment. Everything. Bad publicity included. Even when you're getting dogpiled and you're just like, oh my God, this is just feels horrendous. It's actually good. I don't know why. I don't know exactly how it works, but I've never seen anyone who's got like think about the most horrendous things that have been done in recent culture, you know? And things that you thought like, what's he thinking? Or what's she thinking? And it just works. They're still relevant. As everyone's like, you know, the worst thing about YouTube, the thing that I can't stand are these YouTube channels that do these like documentary style videos. And the title is, he's done, he's finished, it's over. And it's always about Jake Paul, Kanye, but all these people who are on their way to getting more billions while your YouTube channel is saying he's finished, he's over, he's done. And literally they're facilitating, propping them up inadvertently because all publicity is good publicity. It's just so funny. Like there's certain channels that, and they feed off of every cultural moment it's saying this person's done, and typically that person whenever you can see 3 to 4 YouTube videos that say this person's done, that's probably a signal that they're not done and they're actually just starting.
$94 million on paper, and whatever it costs to remodel 30 Cracker Barrels. $10 million, okay? They're out $105 million, 10 of which is real, 94 of which is on paper. In exchange, they've gotten, I don't know, $500 million in free publicity, and now in the other 630 Cracker Barrels all over the country, people are gonna go, oh shit, that Cracker Barrel hasn't been remodeled yet. We should eat there one last time because this is our last chance before they remodel it. All of a sudden, Cracker Barrel has the best year they've ever had.
Clever girl.
All of a sudden, Cracker Barrel's stock price goes through the roof. Now they're not losing money on paper. They're probably making money on paper, and they've probably made enough to offset the amount they spent remodeling the 30 locations that they were gonna close anyways. They close those 30 stores down, and they carry on with business as usual. They change the logo back. They issue some corporate apology like, we've heard your voice, and we respect and value your opinion, and that's why we've decided to bring the old white guy back onto the logo. He's not gonna go to the island of misfit toys with Aunt Jemima and the Indian girl from
yo, he's so dumb. He's so dumb because there's a meme. I almost posted it, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like dealing with. But yes, throw Harambe in there too, man.
The Land O'Lakes logo, and Uncle Ben, no, he's gonna stay on the restaurant where he belongs.
You're goddamn right.
And we're not gonna remodel any more of the restaurants, fuck America, the end, okay? And I know what you're thinking, that seems like an awful lot to go through just to have one good year of sales. And I would agree with you, okay? But here is the reason that I'm giving this a 10% possibility. There was never an issue with Cracker Barrel's decor, okay? Nobody went in there and was ever complaining like, oh shit, this Cracker Barrel looks like a fucking Cracker Barrel, okay? You know what you're getting into when you go to Cracker Barrel. Nobody's complaining. If you go back to before this PR nightmare hit the internet, all of the complaints about Cracker Barrel were about the food quality, menu changes, and bad service, okay? Cracker Barrel didn't just remodel 30 locations, they also revitalized the menu across all 660 Cracker Barrels, including bringing back old favorites like Uncle Herschel's favorite. So presumably they fixed the actual issues that Cracker Barrel had, but the problem is with the restaurant, once you go there 2 or 3 times and you don't have a good meal, you're probably just never gonna go there again. So they needed to come up with a way to convince people to come back to Cracker Barrel one last time, to give them one last chance, to give them a good experience, and they could have staged this entire PR nightmare on purpose to do just that. And the added kicker, they get to spin the entire thing like, hey, we're the one company that listens to you guys. We're the one company that didn't sacrifice their legendary, well-known mascot and take him off the brand forever. No, we brought him back because you guys wanted him. We kept the restaurant the same because that's what you guys wanted. Cracker Barrel is an American institution, and we listen to you guys and we give you what you want, and then everybody loves Cracker Barrel and their new awesome menu. But like I said, I don't think they're that smart. I give it a 10% chance that that's actually what's happening, and there's a 90% chance that Cracker Barrel is just circling the drain and will be gone in 5 years. So there's that. Thanks for watching. All right, emergency update. Never really had to do this before, and like I said, that's probably because I don't like covering emerging trendy topics, but I guess here we are. Everything you've seen up until this point was filmed on the 24th, and it is now the 26th at approximately 7 o'clock Central Time, and I've just been informed via Twitter or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that Cracker Barrel has issued their corporate apology, and they're going to be keeping their original logo.
Can we go ahead and say he might be a prophet?
Hold up.
Because I'm recording this on what's today? The 29th?
Because of this, I will now be updating my prediction. There is no longer a 10% chance that this is an intentional marketing ploy. There is now a 50-50 chance that this is intentional. They're doing it on purpose. And if they are, it's absolutely genius. And if they're not, it's the worst idea I've ever seen in my entire life. Anyways, thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out. If I'm right about this, I will, for the rest of my life, claim that somebody at Cracker Barrel headquarters saw my video, stole my idea, and saved the company forever. Probably not the truth, but that's what I'm gonna roll with.
I'd roll with that too, buddy. All right, man, there you guys have it.
Oh, and don't forget to go check out World War III Supremacy. Use my link and code down below to unlock all the free stuff. Thanks for watching.
I was about to start talking, yo. I just reacted to the Crocs video. It'll probably come out later. I'll fast track this one since the Cracker Barrel stuff is in real time. And we'll see how it all goes, you guys. But thanks for tuning in, man. Go check his channels out. I'll see you later.
City boy! City boy!